right, hi guys. I'm recording today because we will not be having live class. Not that anyone comes anyway, but the assignment for today is you are reading the next act of the play. So we are going to start reading Act 2. So the first part to the questions that you have to answer is a review. So which family is Romeo a part of, Montague or Capulet? Which family is Juliet a part of, Montague or Capulet? Who asks Lord Capulet if he can marry Juliet? What character almost starts a fight during Capulet's party because he recognizes Romeo? And which character is Romeo's BFF that makes puns? Hint, he's the guy that talks about Queen Mab, not the guy from the very beginning. So make sure you answer those 5 questions before you move on. So you can pause the video here, take your time to do that, maybe look some things up, go back in your notes, what have you. Okay, so Act 2. We're going to start with a prologue. For those of you who did not know what the prologue was, this is a prologue. It is the very first page of the act. It explains essentially what happened and what is going to happen. I believe this only happens in Act 1 and 2, and then from here on out, there is no more prologue, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so, prologue. Now old desire dies, and a fresh affection is eager to take its place. Rosaline, the fair woman Romeo groaned for, whom he said he would die for, has been compared to Juliet and seems fair no longer. Now Romeo is loved, and he loves again. Romeo and Juliet have been bewitched by each other's good looks. But Romeo must woo his enemy, and Juliet has been hooked by someone she should fear. As the Capulet's foe, Romeo cannot reach Juliet to whisper his lover's vows, and Juliet, though just as much in love, has even less opportunity to meet her new beloved. But passion lends them power, and time gives them a chance to meet, sweetening the extreme danger with extreme pleasure. So we know from the last act that Romeo and Juliet have fallen in love with each other. Um, remember, Romeo's a big romantic, so he's really into this to love. He loves being in love, and he loves being not loved in a weird way. It's like a weird thing that he just loves love. Juliet, on the other hand, is 13 years old, so she's kind of naive and innocent, and but she's smart. So she's clever, she's witty, she knows how she has to play the playing field. Okay, so this is after the party. This is Romeo's friends. They're all leaving, and he sneaks away. Okay, so prologue. Who is Romeo forgotten about, and why is this? Hint, it's the person he is comparing Juliet to. That's who he's forgotten about. What are Romeo and Juliet bewitched by, and why might this be a problem? So the word bewitched is in this. What are they bewitched by? What do they like each other for? They don't know anything about each other. They just shared some flirtations and then smooched a few times. But that's all they got. Okay, moving on. So now we're going to move into scene 1. We get some good Mercutio stuff with scene 1. It's pretty fun. Can I leave when my heart stays here? I have to go back. Romeo! My cousin Romeo! He's wise. He's stolen himself to bed. No, he ran and jumped over this orchard wall. Call to him, Mercutio. Romeo! No, I'll summon him like a spirit. Romeo! Madman, passion, lover, appear in the form of a sigh. Just say, ah, me. Just say love and dove. Say one lovely word to my good friend Venus. Just say the nickname of her blind son Cupid, who shot arrows so well in the old story. So this is Mercutio. Mercutio's on the right here. And like this. So he's calling him a spirit because he's disappeared. Like Romeo's disappeared from their view. And so they're trying to get him back. So his way is he's summoning him, but he's in love. He's brokenhearted. So he thinks that he's pining, that Romeo has disappeared because he's sad and he's pining over Rosaline. So he says all these things. Okay, so Mercutio says he'll summon Romeo like a spirit. He's treating him like a ghost because he disappeared over the wall. What does Mercutio say Romeo should say in the second bubble in the bottom panel after in the form of a sigh? In the form of a sigh. Second bubble, bottom panel. Okay. And we're going to get some more Mercutio yelling for Romeo. So the question that's going to come up is, how does Mercutio try to summon him on page 56? What do we, the readers, know that Mercutio and Benvolio do not about Romeo's love? So he's trying to summon him. So then he decides, I know. So they're waiting. They don't hear anything. He hears not. He stirs not. He moves not. The ape is dead, but I will make him appear. I summon you by Rosaline's bright eyes, for her high forehead and her red lips, by her fine feet, by her straight legs, by her trembling thighs, and by the region next to her thighs. In the name of all of these things, appear before us in your true form. So who is he trying to summon him by? Mercutio is so funny. Okay, and so Mercutio and Benvolio don't know that Romeo is in love with who? They think that he's still in love with the person he's been pining over since the very beginning. So those are those two questions. Okay. If he hears you, you'll make him angry. These words cannot anger him. If I conjured a demon to come make love to Rosaline, that would anger him. But this invocation is fair and honest. I'm speaking the name of Romeo's beloved simply to conjure him out of the darkness. Come, he's hidden himself among the trees to keep the night company. His love is blind, so it suits the darkness. If love is blind, it cannot hit its mark. Now he'll sit under the medlar tree and wish his mistress were just such a fruit. Oh, Romeo, if only she were an open arse, and you a pop her in pear. Ahem. Medlar fruits were thought to resemble genitalia and were often called open arses. He's making a sex joke. There's lots of sex jokes in this book, just so we're aware. Good night, Romeo. I'll go to my little trundle bed. This open field is too cold to sleep in. Come on, should we go? Let's go. There's no point in looking for him if he doesn't want to be found. And then they leave. And now we're on scene 2. So, answer 12 and 13 based... Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Where does Romeo sneak off to on page 58, and who does he see in the light of the window? Okay. We're on 58 now. It's easy for him to joke about scars. He's never been wounded. Sneaky sneak, through the garden. But wait, what's the light in that window there? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Rise up, beautiful sun, and kill the envious moon. The moon is already sick with grief because you, her chaste maid, are more beautiful than she. The goddess of the moon leads you virgins, but her uniform is sickly green, and only foolish women wear it. Cast it off! Oh, it is my lady! Oh, it is my love! If only she knew she were both. Okay, so obviously he sees this person. So where has he snuck off to? It's this person's house. So those are your first two. Okay, answer 12 and 13 based on this information. In the original play, Romeo says, "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. Who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she?" Romeo's a drama queen, but he's also a great poet. Like, he knows what he's doing. Okay, so what does Romeo compare Juliet to in this? Something specific and bright and shiny. Hooray! Okay, what other object in the sky is Juliet more beautiful than? So we have the bright and shiny thing, and then we have the thing that comes out at night. She's more beautiful than the thing that comes out at night. Awesome. Okay. So he's, creeping in the garden outside of her house, checking her out. Continues to creep because, that's normal. We're on page 59. So the next question, what does Romeo compare Juliet's eyes to? Is next. Okay. She speaks, but she says nothing. Well, so what? Her eyes are eloquent. I will answer them. I'm being too bold. It's not to me she speaks. Two of the brightest stars in the sky had business elsewhere and asked her eyes to twinkle in their place till they return. What if her eyes were in the sky and the stars were in her head? The brightness of her cheeks would outshine the stars the way the sun outshines a lamp. Her eyes would shine so brightly that the birds would sing, thinking it was daytime. Look how she leans her hand on her cheek. I wish I was a glove on her hand so that I could touch that cheek. Okay, so something else that's in the sky he compares her eyes to. Great. So you're going to write that down. Okay, the next question is your opinion. Do you think Romeo sneaking over to see Juliet, watching her on her balcony, and thinking about how beautiful she is romantic or creepy? Why? Um, this ends up coming up in a lot of like things you may have already seen. So people sneaking over to people's houses, throwing rocks at their windows, talking to them. The girl in her bedroom, the boy on the ground in her yard. Very similar. A lot of common day media is pulled from this play, especially like romantic comedy type deals. Um, except that this is a tragedy, not a comedy. Okay, once you answer that question, what does Juliet say that Romeo hears at the top of page 60? Funny, where did we hear that before in scene 1? Ah me! She speaks! Speak again, bright angel. You shine above me like a winged messenger from heaven who makes mortal men fall on their backs to look at the sky, watching the angel walk on the clouds and sail upon the air. All right, first thing she says is right here. It's right here. This right here. It's right here. Okay, what? Where did we see that in scene 1? Oh, funny. And this is supposed to mean that they're these things. So we know, based on that, that she is feeling in love. Okay? So Mercutio says it in scene 1 before. Um, and I just talked about it. What does the answer to number 16 tell us about Juliet's feeling? It tells us she's in love. She's thinking she's on her balcony because she's in love with a person she shouldn't be, and she's kind of upset by that. Okay. In the original text, Juliet says, "Oh Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" What is the translation in the graphic novel of this line? So we're gonna get it. It's very, very similar, very close. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why must you be Romeo? Forget your father and shed your name. Or if you don't, just swear your love to me and I'll no longer be a Capulet. Should I listen for more or should I speak now? Still creeping over in the woods over there. It's only your name that's my enemy. You'd still be yourself even if you stopped being a Montague. What's a Montague anyway? It's not a hand, a foot, an arm, a face, or any other part of a man. Oh, be some other name. The thing we call a rose would smell as sweet if we called it by any other name. Okay, so this would be your translation. This right here. The question. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why must you be Romeo? Right here. What does Juliet wish she could do about his name and why? She wants him to. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay, so we should have up to 19 answered. Okay, so then she's, still talking. Romeo would be just as perfect even if he wasn't called Romeo. Romeo, lose your name. Trade in your name, which has nothing to do with you, and take all of me in exchange. I trust your words. Just call me your love, and I will be newly baptized. From now on, I'll never be Romeo again. Who are you? Why do you hide in the dark and listen to my private thoughts? I don't know what name to give you, for my name, dear saint, is hateful to me, as it is an enemy to you. If I'd written it down, I'd tear up the paper. My ears haven't drunk 100 of your words, and yet I know the sound of your voice. Aren't you Romeo? And aren't you a Montague? I am neither of those things if you dislike them. Okay, we're going to pause for a second. If you were openly talking about how much you loved someone, like in a really, like, you're really just bearing your feelings to the universe kind of way, and then that person showed up while you were all up in your feelings, how would you feel? Juliet obviously feels pretty darn embarrassed because she's just like, she literally says, shed your name and take all of me. Like that is bold. And so Romeo hears this and she's like, "Oh, Jesus." And just kind of freaks out a little bit. Um okay, so answer 20, that's totally your opinion. And then we'll move on to 21, which is how does Romeo barge in on Juliet's monologue? So, here. That would be here. Right after take all of me in exchange. He's just like, "Hey, tell me you love me, and that'll be my name. And I'll never be Romeo ever again." Cool. And so then this whole thing is her being like, "Why the heck are you here and who are you?" And then she's like, "Oh wait, it's you. Oh, it's you." And Romeo's like, "Listen, I won't be a Montague if you don't want me to," which is just not feasible. He's just good with words. Okay. "How did you get in here? Why did you come? The orchard walls are high, and this place is death if my kinsmen find you. I flew over the walls on the light wings of love. Stone walls can't keep me out, therefore your kinsmen are no obstacle. If they see you, they'll kill you. One angry look from you would be worse than 20 of their swords. Just look at me kindly, and I'm invincible against their hate. I'd give anything to keep them from seeing you here. The cloak of night will hide me, and if you don't love me, let them find me. I'd rather they killed me than have to live without your love. Who told you how to get here below my window? Love showed me, the same thing that first drove me to look for you. I'm no sailor, but if you were the farthest sea, I'd risk everything to gain you." Oh God, he's so dramatic. Okay, so um what would he rather have than to not be loved by Juliet? Ding ding ding. So Juliet's pretty much like, if any of like my like family members or guards find you here, like they'll kill you. And he's like, "Don't worry. And if you don't love me, I'd rather this happened than to be without your love and live." Like he's a drama queen and I love it. So that would be for number 22. Okay. The next section is just this is a cultural note. So, women's roles in this time period. Women had the following social guidelines: be seen, not heard. So, you're supposed to be pretty and you're not supposed to speak unless spoken to. Look beautiful, get married, make babies, and keep your husband happy. The woman's happiness wasn't really thought of as much as the man's happiness. You better be making babies and you're going to get married young because everyone dies pretty early at this point. So the fact that Juliet has just openly spoken her mind makes her feel embarrassed, but she's 13, so she kind of doesn't have all these social guidelines totally pumped into her. So she's just openly spoken her feelings when she's kind of supposed to be like shy and meek and quiet. So, but she's a little bold because she's young and, in love. So the question is, what is the question she asks after she says, "Farewell, good manners"? Ready? "The mask of night hides my face, otherwise you'd see me blush for the words you heard me speak tonight. I would gladly maintain my modesty and deny what I have just spoken, but farewell, good manners. Do you love me? I know you'll say yes, and I'll believe you, but even if you swear, you might still do me wrong. They say Jove laughs when lovers lie to each other. Oh, Romeo, if you really love me, say it truly, or if you think I'm too quickly won, I'll frown and play coy so that you can woo me. But if not, I would not act that way for the world. Okay, so what does she say as soon as she says, farewell, good manners? She busts right into the big question. Boop. Okay, in the bottom panel of 63, which we're going to get to, Juliet is still speaking on the left. What is she worried Romeo will think of her love since he heard her private thoughts? And she's immediately jumped into this question. So this is her speaking still, right here. In truth, handsome Montague, I like you too much, so you may think my behavior loose. I should have been more standoffish, I confess, but you've overheard me speaking my true love's passion. So pardon me, and do not assume that because I yielded so quickly, my love is lightly given. This is really what she's thinking. My love is lightly given. She doesn't want him to think that she's easy, essentially. She doesn't want him to think that he can just kind of get with her and then leave. She wants him to commit himself to her. And so she doesn't want to be played. So she's smart. She's like crazy she's like crazy in love, but she's not dumb. So that would be 24. Okay. Lady, I swear by the sacred moon above, the moon that paints the tops of the trees with silver. Don't swear by the moon. The moon is always changing. Each month it shifts its position in the sky. I don't want your love to be that inconstant, too. What should I swear by? Don't swear at all, but if you must swear, then swear by your gracious self, which is the God I worship like an idol. If my heart's dear love, well, don't swear. Although you bring me joy, I take no joy in this exchange of promises tonight. It's too rash, too sudden, like lightning which flashes, then disappears before you can say, it's lightning. Good night, my sweet. Our love now is like a flower bud, which the summer air may ripen into a beautiful flower by the next time we meet. I hope you enjoy the same sweet peace and rest I feel in my heart. Oh, are you going to leave me so unsatisfied? Okay, so she's doing this rambly thing, right? So she's like, please, like, don't swear by the moon. The moon changes faces every night. I don't want you to be so changing either. And so then he's like, what should I swear by? And she's like, by yourself, because I love you and I worship you. And he's like, all right. And she's like, well, actually, never mind. Don't swear at all. This is going too fast, and I don't think we should do this. So good night, and I hope you sleep well. And she's like, deuces. And then he's like, wait, I'm not done. And then she doesn't leave because she doesn't leave. What satisfaction could you possibly have tonight? The exchange of your vows of faithful love for mine. I pledged my love before you asked me to, yet I wish I could take that promise back to give it again. You'd take it back? Why, my love? Only to be generous and give it to you once more. But I wish for the thing I already have. My generosity to you is as limitless as the sea. My love is as deep. The more love I give you, the more I have. Both loves are infinite. Juliet? I hear a noise, dear love. Goodbye. Just a minute, good nurse. Sweet Montague, I'll be back. Stay, I'll come back. Oh, blessed night. It's so dark, I'm afraid this is all a dream, too sweet to be real. Next question coming up. Things are moving fast by this page. What does Juliet say that Romeo has to do to prove his love? Hint, it has to do with the messenger. So then he's hanging out, she left, and now she's back. 3 words, dear Montague, and then it's good night indeed. If your intentions are honorable, and your goal is marriage, send me word tomorrow. Reply to the messenger I send you, and tell me where and when you will perform the ceremony. And I'll lay all my fortunes at your feet and follow you, my lord, throughout the world. Madame, I'll be right there. But if you do not mean well, I beg you. Madame, all right, I'm coming. I beg you to cease these efforts and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow I'll send the messenger. My soul depends on it. Okay, so she says, listen, if your goal is to marry me, this is what you have to do. Tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm sending a messenger, and you have to tell them this. And that's number 6. Or 25. What am I saying? Number 25. She's sending a messenger, and he has to tell. Moving fast. The ceremony. The ceremony means marriage, in case you don't know. And then the last thing, and then this thing, 26 is, what does she give Romeo at the bottom of 66? It's a hanky, if you don't know what it is. It's a handkerchief. She gives him a handkerchief. Why would she give this to him? Think of it as the equivalent of like a guy giving a girl his hoodie. Okay, moving forward. 1,000 times good night. And then she goes inside, she shuts the door. I'm 1,000 times worse now that I'm missing your light. A lover goes toward his beloved as eagerly as a student leaving his books. But he leaves her with a heavy look like a schoolboy off to classes. And then she comes back. Sst! Romeo! Sst! Oh, I wish I could make a falconer's call so I could bring my little falcon back again. I'm trapped in my family's house, so I must be quiet. Otherwise, I'd rip open the cave where Echo sleeps. I'd make her repeat his name until her voice grew hoarser than mine, repeating, Romeo, Romeo. My soul is calling out my name. How silver sweet the sound of lovers calling each other's names by night. It's the sweetest sound a lover ever hears. Romeo, my little bird, what time tomorrow should I send the messenger to you? By 9 o'clock. I won't fail. From now until then seems like 20 years. I've forgotten why I called you back. Let me stand here till you remember. I'll forget it. To have you stand there forever, I only remember how I love your company. I'll keep standing here, even if you keep forgetting. I'll forget that I have any home besides this spot right here. It's almost morning. I'd let you leave, but only as far as a spoiled child lets her pet bird hop away before pulling it back with a silken thread tied around its legs, like a poor prisoner in a twisted chains. I wish I was your bird. My sweet, so do I, but I would kill you with too much caressing. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I'll say good night until tonight becomes tomorrow. I wish you sleep, and I wish you peace, and I wish that I were sleep and peace so that I could rest there sweetly with you. I'll go now to my friar confessor's little cell to ask for his help and tell him of my good luck. And then he leaves, and then it becomes daytime, and she's all giddy and like, oh my god, Romeo. Okay, so on page 68, Juliet forget why she called him back. Why does she keep him there, and why does he stay even though she can't remember? So that's all in these 3 bottom panels here. They're flirting with each other essentially. All right, 28 is parting is such sweet sorrow that I'll say goodnight until tonight becomes tomorrow. Who says this and what do they mean? So think about this as like the no, you hang up. No, you hang up. It's kind of the same idea as like why he stays here even though she can't remember what she meant to call him back for. The sweet sorrow thing's up here, by the way. Okay. How do you feel about the relationship between Romeo and Juliet? Are you confident in them? What do you think will happen? This should be written in 3 to 5 complete sentences. I really want to know what you think. All right, and that would be it. That's the assignment for today. If you guys need anything else, just let me know. Feel free to play back this video as needed, and that's it. All right, bye guys.